economy, 2025 has been a year of contrasts. Some producers are finally seeing better prices while others are fighting to make ends meet. And in Kansas, it's a tale of two economies. But the situation for 2025, at least here in Kansas, isn't as bad as what some were forecasting. So what changed? Well, we knew just the man to ask right here at K-State.
Step into the business school at Kansas State University, and you'll often see Dr. Joe Parcell, an ag economist bridging agriculture, business, and engineering.
I have a pleasure of leading a center here that's pretty unique out there in the country. It's the Risk Management Center, and here we believe it's interdisciplinary, that as you get into your career and making decisions, it's not just about your discipline, it's about learning from others, because we don't work in disciplines. We work interdisciplinary when we're trying to solve problems with firms. So we're a joint between really the College of Business, the Ag College, and the Engineering College here at K-State.
Parcell's team recently partnered with the University of Missouri to examine leading indicators of farm financial stress, and the results show a deepening divide across agriculture.
The one glaring out there is the difference between row crop farming and livestock farming right now. The other is what's going on in the equipment sector, and not just at the farm. I mean, this really extends into our communities and our rural areas. And probably the third one is the banks. It's just not the farms, but it's the banks that are lending them money and what kind of situation that they're in, especially our local community banks.
Parcell says the warning sign started nearly 2 years ago as costs rose and margins tightened. And when you look at Kansas agriculture specifically, the bright spot for the past 2 years has been the cattle sector. And Parcell, along with RAF, released a report this week showing that's partially fueling a major rebound in farm income across Kansas.
We're going to have farm income up over, about doubling from last year to this year. And that's a combination of three things, really driven by an increase in revenues more than a drop in expenses. And that revenue is being driven, of the $6.2 billion we're going to add to the farm revenue side. 58% of that is with the cattle side, or livestock side. We've got 34% of that in government payments and only 8% in row crop.
But Parcell cautions, as cattle producers know, the cattle cycle never lasts forever. But for now, it's helping producers who struggled to see profits for several years finally make vital improvements and investments on their farm or ranch. They're also cautious in spending, not knowing how long this cycle will last.
And these cattle producers, especially the cow-calf producers, I mean, they've suffered through a lot of years. They've had drought years, they've had low prices, and this is just giving them a chance to kind of replenish their supplies, so they're getting ready for the next cycle, because we know everything will come to an end and it'll end up the other way as part of this cattle cycle, that high prices solve high prices, and we're going to be at low prices in the near future.
But looking at the broader economy, RAF's report shows the farm sector's financial health indicates elevated risk. And even though farmer sentiment is slipping, Parcell says sentiments among bankers isn't at crisis level yet, and that's largely due to land values holding steady.
That's the most interesting one, because you really see, you see things in a declining mode, but it's not in a fully worrisome mode. So in what we talk about, or what we use as kind of our benchmark, we go back to 2016, 17, 18, where we had similar things. We had depressed commodity prices, we had some trade wars going on in there, and sentiment is not strong, but it's not as weak as what it was back in during that period.
When you look at this report as a whole, what was the biggest concern?
Yeah, I think the biggest concern is what's to come. There's so much volatility out there in the market right now because, as you mentioned, we have trade wars. We have, what's going to be said next out of the administration. We have a government shutdown right now. We continue to have, again, strong land prices. There's just so much uncertainty, some things that maybe we don't typically associate with a downturn in the farm economy are counter to what we might expect to see right now in there. So I think that's the biggest challenge in all this is we all feel like things should be worse, at least the indicators should be worse than what they are.
Well, we saw the Federal Reserve make another interest rate cut this week. Good news for those needing to borrow money. And Dr. Parcell says interest rate relief and renewed equipment demand could help farmers regain their footing if volatility eases in the months ahead. All right, up next, China reportedly bought beans, but the market didn't act that impressed. Plus, making sense of the psychological shift in the cattle markets that we talked about with Chip. Our marketing discussion from right here at K-State happens next.
You're watching U.S. Farm Report. Trusted, timely, tradition.